Hi, I'm Aaron Walter. I'm the Associate Priest and Youth Pastor here at St. Thomas Church. Welcome to episode number 2 of our Lenten video podcast series. Today we're excited for you to hear from Father Chris Arnold, who lives in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So I'm going to turn it over to him. We hope that it blesses you, that in your Lenten journey this year, it brings you hope and brings you peace.
Recently, the rover, Perseverance, I think it's called, landed on Mars. This amazing thing. A lot of us watched it online, the landing of the thing, and we watched the first shots, photos, video clips that were coming back from Mars. It's amazing. It's amazing. A lot of the photos depict the sky in Mars, and the number of stars, the number of galaxies, the Milky Way that you can see, it's astounding. And it's because, of course, Mars has a very thin atmosphere. You really can't see stars like that here on Earth because our atmosphere is too thick. But we've also got a lot of light pollution. And it's something that I always notice when I leave the urban areas of the state, and I get really right out into the Northwoods, out into wilderness at camp, and you look up and you can see 5 times as many stars. It's astounding. And it really is a reminder that the stars are there all the time, but it's that extra light pollution that makes it hard for us to see them, even though they're there right now. And that's a reminder for me of what we do with Lent. God is there all the time. We know that we're made to be in a relationship with God. God wants to love us and have us love him back. And we say we do. I say I do. Oh yeah, I love God. I make room for prayer. I've got, God is the center of my life. All that stuff. But there's all this other stuff that kind of clutters it up over the course of the year as well. I get busy. I've got worries, joys, responsibilities, hobbies, other relationships, all kinds of stuff that I have in my life. You have in your life. Our lives get full of stuff. And then we realize that we can't see God as clearly as we used to. God is still there. We still make time for God. But it's like you can't see God quite as clearly. There's too much clutter. And so we have this season called Lent, which helps us to just clear away all the clutter. Turn off all the lights that are causing the light pollution so we can see the stars. Quiet all that background noise, the sound of the trucks going by and the sound of the chatter, so that we can hear that still small voice that's always whispering to us. God is always whispering to us, I love you, I love you. And sometimes we need to quiet everything else down so that we can hear it. It's another way of looking at the season of Lent, that it's carving out this time to try to put away all the stuff that keeps us from God. So we have these ancient practices, of course. You've probably heard about them, fasting and almsgiving and prayer, and they're just kind of different fancy ways of saying, these are historically some of the ways that we Christians have said, let's push away all the stuff, the clutter, the extra noise and light pollution that keeps us from that relationship. So it's just a reminder for me that that as much as I love God, there's a lot of clutter in my life. And Lent gives me an opportunity to try actively to put that to one side. So briefly about these 3 things, why fasting or giving things up for Lent, whatever you call it, why almsgiving or charity or doing something different with my money, with my resources. And why prayer? Well, prayer is kind of the obvious one, right? That's like the essence of my relationship with God. The same way that I talk to friends of mine, I talk to God. And that's how my relationship with God gets strengthened. So prayer, like of course in Lent I make time for more prayer, for different prayer, for a focus on prayer. But these other ones, giving something up for Lent, I always want to make sure that we know that it's not because we're trying to punish ourselves. Lent is not about beating ourselves up. But it is about a certain kind of discipline. Do I have the strength to say, I'm going to set my will on something and go for 40 days? I'm going to resolve to do something and go for 40 days. And the truth is, usually I don't. And that's just a reminder that my own willpower is pretty weak. My own ability to save myself is not as strong as I think it is. And it's only through God that I have the ability to do anything. This is a good thing to remember in Lent. And then almsgiving is just a reminder that God has given me the privilege, God gives us the privilege of making use of these gifts that God gives us, that we can in turn turn around and put to better use, to good use, to building up the kingdom. So it's just fancy ways of saying that we're returning. I guess we can see Lent as an opportunity to just kind of get back to the basics of Christian life, Christian discipleship, following the path of Jesus. So the rest of this Lent, I don't know when during Lent you're going to be watching this, but between now and Easter, try to think of this as pushing away the clutter in your life, and just maybe ask God what you need to hear from God, and leave enough silence in your life to actually hear the answer. Anyway, that's just some thoughts on Lent from me. Have a blessed Lent. Bye for now.